Hey y'all, Bridget Bartlett here. Today I'm going to show you how to automatically update custom values. So if you're unfamiliar with custom values, it's simply a dynamic code that you can put in place of certain things inside of usually it's an email builder or something like that. Within HighLevel, we actually use custom values in place of many things. And you can see here, if you actually go to the high level knowledge base, which is help.gohighlevel.com, you can search for custom values, merge fields. This is probably my most go-to document inside of HighLevel. And what it shows you here is, for example, any place that you want to, maybe in emails or even a website, that you want to put the contact's first name. A lot of times on thank you pages, we will add a contact first name so that when they've opted in, it'll go to the thank you page and it'll say, "Welcome to our program, Shelly," or whatever your name is, right? So you can add those there. It's really cool to add, contact email, especially like in emails. I have some of those as well. But you can see there are lots of custom values that you can use. In here, like appointment time, start date, end date, all of that is so useful when you are creating systems, not just for yourself, but also for clients, especially if you want them to be duplicatable, right? So for example, account is one of the ones that I use a lot. The account features, because you can build them inside of a website. And if you, just for example, if you put the custom value here in place of wherever it would say the business's name, for example, My Vision Agency, if I was to put this anywhere inside my websites or anywhere in the email campaign, like maybe in the signature, this is used a lot in footers because it'll say, managed by, and then it will pre-fill in whatever the location name is that is hosting that account. Okay. So I could have the same website, and I could have this in the footer, the location name. And if, Ray is watching now from Corpus Christi, so if Ray has this website, then it's going to say Ray Hines, if that's his location name. If Tech Life Tube, I see, is joining us, if Tech Life Tube had our template and we had location name at the bottom, it would say he could have the very same website as Ray, but he would have, or she would have, the that location name, right? So that would be in the footer. So that's basically how custom values work. But there are times that you want to create your own custom values, okay? And you actually can do that inside of HighLevel. If you go into the settings and you go to custom values here, you can actually create your own. And you can see in this test account here, I have, for example, brand color. Because could you imagine having this beautiful system that you have a duplicatable system, maybe for real estate agents or solar people or high-level affiliates even. You have this great duplicatable system and you want it to be easily customizable, especially if you're the agency doing the customizing, right? You may want to create, like, for example, a brand color. And then what's really cool about this, you paste this custom value anywhere that you want to add that brand color, and then you can change it here, right? So if I have this custom value, and let's say that this custom value is pasted into every button on the website, all the member of the location would have to do is come here to the custom values, and then they could update this hex code, and then it will update all of the websites or anything that you have inside of that location. It's going to update that color with this color. Okay, so I hope your brains are exploding with all of the ideas and ways that you can use custom values. Now imagine if you're onboarding a client, okay, into your HighLevel agency, you have them fill out a form. Okay, they checked out, they've paid, right? They go to the form, and then now they're going to fill in all the details of their account, and you're going to automatically update all of the custom values based on that form. That's beautiful, right? I mean, we could do the link to a logo. We could do the link to whatever, maybe an affiliate opportunity, or even these custom values here for the colors, right? So amazing duplication is Totally possible with custom values. Okay. Now, to be able to use this in a form, okay, what I'm going to show you today is a lot of times people will use maybe different checkout pages or something other than HighLevel. What I'm going to show you how to do is create a form. Okay, now let's say you're just using a different checkout method that's not linked to HighLevel, or maybe you just have like a more advanced setup and you don't want them to use the checkout. Okay, you could, however you want to set this up, what I'm going to show you today is how to route them to a form. Okay. And then what we're going to do is use that form to completely create their account. We're going to create the location. We're going to create the user. And at the same time, in that form, there are custom values. And we're going to have, when they paste that in, we're going to have it update that as well. So what we're really doing here is creating and updating an account to completely customize it for this client. So as soon as they log in the very first time, everything is set up for them. Okay. So I hope your brain is exploding like mine is, because there's 101 ways that you can use custom values in this scenario. And it's super, super exciting to know that we have the capability of doing this. Okay. So the very first thing that you want to do is create your form. All right. Now I have a form that I've created here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click here to edit. And you see our form here, and you do have to make sure that you are using these fields here in your onboarding form, because you do need specific information to be able to set up the account. Now, remember, this is, let's pretend that you just handed them a Stripe page, checkout page, and however, it can be linked, it can whatever, it doesn't have to be linked at all. They're just going to pay, and then they're going to come to this form, and what I'm going to show you is how to trigger all of that from the form. Okay, so I just wanted to be clear, because I know there are many different scenarios for how you can set this up, but I just want to let you know how I'm setting it up so that you can use the same strategy or variations of it according to whatever your use case is. Okay, so the main things that we want to have here is first and last name. We want the email, phone number is great, the organization is important, we've got to have the address, and the city here. And then you can see down here, I just put two custom fields, okay? Because if you have these custom values that you have created, what you need to do is actually create a custom field. So the way that you do that is you just go to custom fields and you go to add custom field. In this example, I use the single text input. And then I just pasted in here, like replace this hex code with whatever, right? So I can actually show you here. I just added like replace the hex code with this. That's the field, right? That's how I created this field. And then this is just a text input. And I just, in the placeholder, I just put paste hex code of your brand color. Okay, so these are my two, these are all of the account forms. They are custom values, but they are custom values that are already preset. So they're already on this list. So I don't need to add those here again. These are only for the ones that I'm creating specifically for my business. Okay, so once you create those, they're going to show up here in the custom fields. And then all you need to do is just drag them over. What's really cool too is it's also going to show up in the profile of the customer. Okay, so when you go to contacts and you click on their name, it's also going to show up there on the left-hand side. So I love how all of the information always lands right in that customer profile, so that when they contact you, you can see everything that, you know, are they a member? Are they not a member? Have they done the onboarding yet? Have they not done the onboarding yet? Have they filled out the form? You know, there's so many things that we want to know when we're communicating with a customer, that having everything in that profile is very useful. Okay, so we've created our form here. We have added our custom values that we want to update when the account is set up. Now what we need to do is we need to create an automation. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to go to my automations tab. I'm going to scroll over until I find my automation that I was already working on. So update custom values. You can see I was playing around with this a lot. What we want to do is we want to create this workflow here. Okay. Now I only have 2 steps here because they filled out a form. Okay. That's what's going to trigger this. So the form is account creation. So when they fill out that specific form inside of my account, it's going to trigger this workflow. Now, the first step in this workflow is a Zapier webhook. So where do I get that? Okay, I'm going to go to Zapier. Now, you can use a free account, but the Zapier webhooks are premium. Side note, you can do this same setup on Pabbly, except here's the thing. The typical lead connector Zap does not allow you to update custom values. It's just not part of their Zap. But what HL Pro Tools have done, which is a white label support team for HighLevel. It's the one that I've used since 2 days after I created my HighLevel account a couple years ago. They actually have a series of, or a load, I guess, not a series, a whole bunch of resources that they offer you. So if you sign up for HL Pro Tools, you'll get access to their membership area, and then you'll see here HL Pro Tools Zap. You do need this Zap to be able to do what I'm getting ready to show you here, okay? Because this is HL Pro Tools Custom Zap. Now, before you go getting like, oh man, I thought I was going to really be able to do this, HL Pro Tools, they rock. They have so many resources and all of that. You can go to myvisionagency.com/HL Pro Tools. You could also go to my website, Visual Marketing and Design, and then you'll see HL Pro Tools here. Now you'll see that if you sign up using my link that you actually get some bonuses here. But if you click here, you go to the Easy Button Bundle. Okay, so this is a special offer that I have just for my HighLevel team. Matt was kind enough to extend this offer to us. It is literally like you're paying for 3 months and you're getting 9 months for free. Okay, so it's really an incredible value. When you sign up for that, you do get access to this Zap, okay? Now, the Zap, once you get access to this, the very first step in this automation that we're going to do is going to be the webhook trigger. We're going to choose catch hook, and then we're going to click continue, and it's going to give us some results. Now, I'm sorry that I can't show you all of the steps here, because there is some private information I can't share, and it's hard to hide these things when you're live. If I'm doing a pre-recorded video, I can always just blur it out and stuff, but when I'm live, it's a little bit more tricky. Now, what I'm going to do now is I have this webhook, okay? Now, if I click continue, it's going to give me the webhook that I can paste in to my workflow here, okay? So I'm going to paste in this webhook. Now, the next step here is I need to tell Zapier when it receives this information, how I want it to map it out. Okay, this is the best way to do this because you guarantee that everything that you want entered is entered correctly and in the right spots. This is just how I do it. I'm sure there's 101 ways of doing things, but when you do your Zap here, you just want to type in like, what do you want to be the first name? Okay, so I'm going to map it out from the first name custom values. And again, these are preset values, right? So we have the preset custom values, and then we have the custom values that we create, all right? So I'm just going to type out first name, and then I'm going to choose the custom value that is first name. Okay, so I would just type it here, but I already actually have that in there. So you're going to do all the same for all of this. You're going to just go to contact and then map that out. Now, when you get down here to these custom values that you created yourself, then what you want to do is you want to call it what you want to call it, right? So that you recognize it. And then you're going to click here and you're going to go to contact, but you want to go all the way down to custom fields. Now you'll see if you go here to custom values, all of your custom values are going to show up. Okay, but we don't want that. We actually want the information from the custom fields. And the fields, remember, fields come from a form, okay, FF, fields come from a form. So what we want to do is we're going to contacts, and then we're going to scroll down until we see custom fields, okay? Now you can see here, I have lots of custom fields, and you'll see also the 2 custom values that I have created. So what you want to do is you want to call it whatever you called it, and then you're going to fill in the values. So what we're basically doing here, just to break it down and make sure that you understand this process, is we're creating a field in a form where they're going to input this value, okay? So we're saying, what hex code do you want to replace with this, right? So they're going to enter that into the field, okay? Now what we're going to do is take the content from that field and we are going to put it in to a custom value. Okay, so I hope you guys are following me, along with this. Okay, so hopefully I haven't confused you to the max. All right, so now once we've mapped that out, and of course you're going to click test and then go through the testing, it's going to map out that information. Okay, now the next step here is we want to choose this is just a Zapier webhook. Now you can't use Pabbly, you can't use Make, because HL Pro Tools has a Zap. Okay, it's specific for Zapier. They don't have a version for Pabbly or Make. It's just Zapier. So you do have to use Zapier for this setup here. Now, once you choose your HL Pro Tools app here, you're going to have to log in with your HL Pro Tools credentials to be able to use this. Okay. Now, the first step is we're going to create a location, because remember, this person has only paid for an account up to this point. They have not actually created the account. So we're doing this kind of like the old school way before we had SaaS Configurator and all that, right? So we're going to create the location. They've paid, they've gone to the onboarding form, they filled it out. Now we have their information, and now we're going to tell Zapier what to do with that information. So we're going to create an account, okay? So we're going to choose create an account, and then we're going to click continue. Now down here, you'll see you'll be prompted to log in to your HL Pro Tools Zap. Once you do that, you're going to come to the actions here, okay? Now you can see the action. What we're doing is just mapping out the data from the information that we got, okay? So inside of the email field, what we want to do is map out the email form, which is this one here, that contained the email. Okay, so we're kind of like, if you think of it, it's like this would be like the custom field in Zapier. And what we're doing is we're filling it in with like the custom value of that field, right? So that's kind of, if that helps you to conceptualize how this works. Same thing for phone number. We're just going to add the phone number. Business name, just for this case, I just added the first and last name, but we do have a field that we added to the form, but in the testing, I actually didn't add the business name. That's the only reason I use this, okay? We're just going to add the first and last name. That would be the account name, but we actually do, like I said, we had the form that contained the business name, so I would choose that. We have the address here, city, state, country. Remember, this is why I said you need all those forms. And you can tell here that it's marked with an asterisk because it's required. You have to have this information. You'll see there's no website here. It's not required, so it's fine. We're also going to add the first and last name, and then you can go through all of the permissions here to make sure that this user has the permissions that you want. So if you had multiple plans maybe and certain tools were not available for specific plans, you could actually map that out here and choose what tools this user that goes through this workflow is going to receive, okay? Now here you can add the snapshot ID, okay? Now my snapshot for my agency is called NVA Reseller System, and so I want, when they fill out this form and we're creating this location, I want them to choose this snapshot, and that's going to preload. As soon as the account's created, it's going to load that into the account. So again, that's one step I don't need to worry about. Now, there are just some extra fields here, like for social media. Of course, you could use all of that. But down here is the magic. Here is where we're going to update these custom values. Now, you can see if we go into, let me find it here. If we go into the training here for the custom values Zap, if you click here, you'll see they actually give you kind of this recipe, all right? So what we're going to do is we're basically going to paste this recipe into the field, and then what we need to do is map out the custom value name, okay? We're going to type that out, and then we're also going to map the value, okay? So you can see if I go back here, you can see that I mapped it out just like they gave. So make sure to put those brackets, quotation marks, type in what you called it. I called it replace this, okay? And then of course there's the quotation marks and then the colon and then a quotation marks. And then what you're gonna do is map the value, okay? So we have the name of the custom value, and then we have the actual value that we're mapping out so that it's dynamic from the information that we received. Okay, so on this form, in this example, what I used was the pound FFF, which is actually a white color. I used that in this form, but if Billy Bob comes right after, he's our next client, and it's going through the setup here to create his account, maybe he puts pound BBBBBB, whatever that color is, and then that's going to pre-fill in that custom value. Okay, so I'm not going to have to change this every time. This is going to be dynamic. So I only had 2 custom values here, so I added the replace this one, and then of course I mapped that out. Okay, now once you go past this step, you're going to test it, and you want to make sure that it did create that account location, and it also did replace these custom values. So let me actually go into an account here. I think it's in the demo account. Okay, so we do have the custom values here, but I created a another account, Janet Doe. This is the one that I was mapping out for testing. And you can see here when I ran through this process here that it actually updated these 2 codes. So it created the location. If we go to my staff, there's no user created yet. And then you'll see that in the custom values, that it updated those specific custom values. Now, if I had added all the rest of these things here, it would have updated all of those. Okay, so I hope you guys are just freaking out because I am so in love with this. I wish that it worked for HighLevel affiliates. It does not. It only works for accounts within your agency, but you can see how the extreme value of just this Zap alone. And literally, if you have enough clients, you could just I mean, this would pay for itself, right? So now we've created the location. Now, of course, the very next step is we need to create the user, okay? We have the location. Now we need to use that information from the location to create a user. So we're going to use, again, the HL Pro Tools Zap. We're going to choose Create User. We're going to go and make sure we're logged into the Zap with our HL Pro Tools account. And we're going to choose the name of the user. Now I'm going to choose, you can see here I have onboarding and then I have create location. I need to use the information from the location. I mean, I could use the name, it's going to be the same, but I definitely need to get the location ID from this step here in the workflow because it needs to know, okay, we're going to create this user and that's great, but what account is this user tied to? Okay, so that's why it's really important. So again, we're just going to map out the name, last name. The main thing that you need to map out is the email address, okay, because that's what they're going to be logging into. Now, you can choose a default password, or it will create one. If there's not anything here, it'll just generate one. I love to use the same password initially because it just makes onboarding so much more simple. And then, of course, prompting them to create a different password. Now you can see here that we have the user account. Do we want this to be an agency user, meaning they will have access to our entire agency, or is this going to be an account? Obviously, if this is a user of a sub account and we don't want them to have access to our entire agency, we need to use account, okay? Now, of that account, or agency, whatever we decided to choose, do we want them to be an admin or a user? Okay, now if they're the account owner, obviously they need to be the admin. And then we're going to choose here from the information that we received here, we're going to choose wherever it says ID, right? Because that's the location ID. And that is what's going to tie together this user, Janet Doe, with the email address, janetdoe589@gmail. She's going to be able to log in with this email and this password. When she logs in, she's going to be logging into this location, and she's going to be admin of her account. Okay. Now here, of course, we can choose, again, all of the tools that we want this user to have access to. So you could just leave them all as default. You could mark them false or true, whichever one that you wanted to use. And then we're going to click continue. Okay. Now, Once you do that and you test and you make sure that that user was created, then what you want to do is publish this Zap. Okay. Now I don't have a paid Zap account. I actually, I was using Pabbly. Now I'm actually using almost everything inside of GHL because we have those incoming and outgoing webhooks and it makes it super easy. It's also less expensive for most people, unless you're doing like an extremely high volume of, webhook usage. But so I don't have a paid account, and you do need to have a paid account to create a workflow with 3 steps. So if I go to publish this, you'll see that it actually prompts me to upgrade to the paid account. Okay, so you'll see that unlock more Zaps so you can have a paid account. Okay, so that is how you're going to automatically update the custom values and create an account and a user from just a single form. Okay, if you guys are interested in signing up for HL Pro Tools, you can go to, like I said, go to my website, myvisionagency.com or myvisionagency.com/HL Pro Tools. Either way, you can see HL Pro Tools here. What you want to do is you can check out all my bonuses and our reseller licenses that we offer. But when you click the button, you actually go to the easy button bundle, and you can see all the benefits that you get here for HL Pro Tools. And it's an extraordinary amount, right? You get the knowledge base, you get the Zoom support, you get the Zaps, you get the theme builder. That's how I actually customize my whole dashboard. So many things that you get inside of here. It's really way worth the money. You also get an interactive guide, which I absolutely love. It's this option here. So it takes your users around, like basically on a tour of the account. So really, it's a no-brainer opportunity there. So if you're interested in that, like I said, you literally, it's like you pay for the usual price, I guess, is $297 a month. But you actually get it for $290. What was it? Let's see. I can't remember now. It's so incredibly cheap. I can't remember the actual price. I've been with HL Pro Tools for more than 2 years. So if you're interested in this, definitely check this out. Okay, so it's $997 for the year. Okay, so really incredible value. All right, so thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Go make your vision a reality. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us for today's training. If you have any questions, you can join us for open office hours starting right now at bridgetbartlett.com. It's free and open to everyone, so I'll see you there.